The history of mankind has millions of years during which people have created virtually the same number of artifacts and inventions. However, not all these subjects have been sufficiently studied to explain their origin and purpose. Until now, there are unique artifacts that continue to keep their secrets from modern researchers. I would like to bring to your attention the most unusual finds of antiquity, whose secrets science cannot yet explain. Hi friend, you're on the KirTop channel. Babylonian tablet was astronomical calculations. It would seem that there is nothing unsolved in this tablet, found on the territory of ancient Babylon. Before sending it to the exposition of the London Museum, historians studied it and came to the conclusion that it depicts astronomical calculations. In addition, it is known that the ancient Babylonians were skilled astronomers, which means that it was not surprising for them to calculate the path from Earth to Jupiter. But they figured out this way, using modern methods of mathematics, integrals, and speed-time diagrams. And the latter, in turn, were discovered already in the 18th century by Isaac Newton and Gottfried Leibniz. It goes without saying that these methods of calculation cannot in any way be on the tablets of ancient Babylon, but they are there, and so far, both historians and mathematicians cannot explain the phenomena of this artifact. A mysterious bone in the hearts of some chimpanzees. A surprisingly small bone was found in the heart tissue of several chimpanzees, according to a recently published study. The size of this mineralized tissue, no more than a few millimeters, differs in different primates, but overall, the researchers say it appears to be heart failure, a type of heart bone commonly found in large ruminants, but also present in camels and even otters. But it has never been found in chimpanzees or any other monkey before, prompting the research team to think about human anatomy. The discovery of a new bone in a species is a rare event, especially in chimpanzees whose anatomy is similar to that of humans. This raises the question of whether some people might also have the heart bone. Using high-resolution scans to analyze the structure of the heart frame of great apes, the researchers noticed calcification progressing in the hearts of some chimpanzees. In humans, the mineralization of the heart skeleton is usually associated with age and is associated with cardiovascular disease. Although chimpanzees are not as susceptible to coronary artery problems as humans, heart disease still affects nearly 70% of adult chimpanzees in captivity. The book was returned to the English library. The building could be repaired with a penalty for all the deadlines, but of course, no one will find the violator, and the book, published at the beginning of the 17th century, has now become a real diamond in the collection of books. The book now belongs to the Cathedral of Saints Peter and Paul in the English city of Sheffield. The temple was built in the 1280s and has long been a popular library among the locals. The library has long been gone, and the clergy now do not even know where it could be. The publication that was handed over to the temple is called Faith and Practice of the Church of England. Judging by the notes, it was issued back in 1708, but the reader turned out to be so unscrupulous that he never gave it up until the end of his life. As a result, the work spent centuries on the shelf in families of several generations until 3 centuries later, it was decided to return it. The return was made by a resident of Wales. The book had been with her godmother for many years, and it was a dying wish to return it to the library. 10-meter cone-shaped kraken. There are no fish, but you hold on, said Mother Nature 470 million years ago. Ants launched giant cephalopods into the oceans. It was so fortunate that they ruled the seas for the next 50 million years. And today, we will talk about a beast that could terrify to this day. Meet the Camarasaurus, a 10-meter-long prehistoric kraken. To begin with, the generic name is a big wastebasket for taxonomists, like the diagnosis vegetative vascular dystonia in modern medicine, when the essence of the phenomena is not clear, but it must be designated somehow. So in any incomprehensible situation, the owner of a huge cone-shaped shell will be classified as Camarasaurus. A relative of modern octopuses, cuttlefish, and squid, looked very impressive. The animal was hiding in a shell up to 10 meters long. Grabbing tentacles protruded from under the shell armor, in the depths of which a powerful beak was hidden. These extinct triangles can truly be considered Bermuda. All prehistoric fauna disappeared in their depths depth, the shells of not enough frisky trilobites and crustaceans were wrapped into dust by the mollusk. Moreover, primitive animals themselves went into the mouths of the Camarasaurus. The prehistoric kraken lay at the bottom and waited for inattentive prey to enter the radius of destruction. At the same time, it is unclear how the titanic mollusk found its prey. There is a widespread point of view that his eyesight was poor. At the same time, modern predatory colleagues of Camarasaurus rely on the eyes first of all during the hunt. Someone can distinguish colors, someone can accumulate and filter light at depth, and since no one found the petrified eyes of the Camarasaurus, the question remains open. No body, no action. Giant emerald vessel. The real treasures include not only the jewelry of kings and noble ladies, among them there are things of the incredible beauty that cannot be worn or used in everyday life by a modern person. These items include an emerald vessel that once belonged to Emperor Ferdinand II. The emerald vessel is a fairly large, irregular-shaped container with a miniature domed lid. For decoration, gold enamel with small inclusions of processed green stone was used. The metallic pattern wraps up the vessel and gives it an even more solemn, rich appearance. An emerald with a size of 2,680 carats was needed to make this work of art. The giant was found in the Musa mines located in Colombia. Unfortunately, we cannot trace this moment. It remains only to assume that the emerald of unprecedented size was bought by Loladoff II himself. This stone is mentioned in the inventory of the Imperial Collection for 1616. Battle Agate Seal of Pylos. Almost everyone knows that ancient Greece gave the world dozens of brilliant scientists and hundreds of unique inventions. One of these is the Battle Agate Seal of Pylos. It is a ring seal made of agate depicting a battle scene. Chronologically, scientists have identified it around the 15th century BC, that is, it refers to the Minoan civilization. However, there is one point that frankly baffles historians. The fact is that the image on the 3.5 cm ring is simply amazingly detailed, and so much so that the researchers were able to see some of the elements only under a microscope. How it became possible for ancient people living in the Bronze Age, scientists still cannot understand. Part of the cross on which Jesus Christ was crucified. Archaeologists discovered in the stone sarcophagus a small piece of wood at first glance, which was of no value. However, a more detailed study of it showed that they managed to find a small part of the cross on which Jesus Christ was crucified. The sarcophagus in which this item was located was found during research work near the Balatlar Church, located on the Black Sea coast. According to legend, the cross was divided into several parts and set to church leaders in different parts of the wall. That was done with one only purpose, so that every country has sacred peace. But to confirm this, scientists have to do more than one examination and conduct a bunch of analyses. According to the researchers, this find is a real treasure. Scientists were able to make such a bold statement without analysis only after they found carved crosses on its sides. As Carl de Fleury once said, the pieces of the cross discovered, and there were quite a few of them, are not enough to put the cross together. Since the height of the cross was 3.5 meters and the parts that were found make up only a third of the entire cross. Underground Palace, 1001 columns. The oldest and second largest underground reservoir in Istanbul from Byzantine times is remarkable not only for its architecture, but also for many mysteries which only become more numerous over time. The Philoxena cistern is located in the Binberderek district of the Fateh city district, 200 meters from the column of Constantine, 150 meters from another luxurious cistern of Theodosius II, and 100 meters from the Sultanahmet tram stop. True, the entrance to the reservoir is hardly noticeable and you can accidentally pass by. In the Ottoman Empire, the already inactive structure was called Binberderek, 1001 columns. In fact, initially there were 224 columns in the cistern, and now there are 212 of them. When entering the room, from the abundance of columns, it begins to seem that there are a really huge number of them, but it turns out that in Turkish the word binber simply means a large number, meaning 1001, well, a lot. Of particular interest to researchers and travelers are the mysterious symbols on the columns, which are still clearly visible. Researchers unanimously claim that these are signs of Masons who prepared columns for the cistern on the island of Marmara. True supporters of the conspiracy theory are sure that these symbols belong to the Freemasons, who began to use the premises of an abandoned cistern for their meetings shortly after the fall of Constantinople. Trovanta, ancient living stones. You may have already heard about the so-called living stones that grow, multiply, and even move. They have a special name, Trovants. Translated from Romanian, this word literally means concretion. In fact, these are sandstone nodules of various sizes found in the territory of central Romania. In the area of Wolșia, near the town of Costasi, there is a whole open-air museum where a lot of Trovants are collected. This is truly a geological curiosity. These stones are spherical or oval boulders, on the body of which the same stones seem to have grown, only of a smaller size. Some boulders are anchored to the ground with a lag and are strong enough. The sizes of nodules are completely different, from those that fit in the palm of your hand to huge boulder 4.5 meters high. In the language of geologists, Trovants are made of sandstone and conglomerates, but some are made of gravel. According to myth and legends, in which many believe, stones can move like living beings. This topic is actively discussed by both journalists and ordinary bloggers on the internet. Of course, there is no evidence of independent movement of stones, at least no one has provided a supporting video yet. But as far as growth is concerned, such a course of events is indeed absurd. Only there is nothing mystical here. Trovants are the result of natural geological and chemical processes. These stones formed in the form of dense concretions around various seeds, even ordinary grains of sand. This process is similar to the formation of pearls around a speck that has fallen into a shell. When sewing or chipping, interlayers similar to annual tree rings were found inside the Trovants, and in some of them, fossils of shellfish were found. Of course, no one has yet seen the growth of stones with their own eyes, but scientists have found that they increase by an average of 5 centimeters in 1,200 years. Sometimes, under their own weight and depending on the slope, the bulges break off and become independent new Trovants ready to multiply further. Finds under the walls of an old monastery. In France, students archaeologists of the University of Lyon went to the annual practice in their specialty. The place of their practice was in the city of Macon. Once upon a time, these lands were part of the Great Burgundy. These are the modern lands of France and Switzerland. Excavations were carried out near an ancient monastery, the Abbey of Cluny. It was found in 909 by Duke Guillaume the Pious. The monastery developed gradually and became the largest church in Europe almost until the 17th century. The abbey existed until 1798, and when it was sold and then used as a quarry. This place was rich in history. Here, besides the fact that monks lived, there were more than once hostilities in which the monks actively participated. The excavation began in September and continued for almost 2 months with no visible results. In addition to students, teachers also took part in them. They were lucky. Only at the end of the excavation, at a depth of 70 centimeters, a treasure was found. There were about 2,200 denarii and silver obols, mainly issued by the Abbey of Cluny. In addition, there were coins that no one expected to find, namely 21 gold Muslim dinars. Since the Christian church can be said to have hostile attitude towards Muslims, the fact that one of the monks had Muslim coins suggests interesting thoughts. Such things, it was rather dangerous to keep a monk to himself, because he could be accused of heresy, and this could be followed by a more severe punishment. Also, a strange treasure in the fact that the monks had no right to be distracted by worldly life, namely money, was the main attribute of the worldly. Therefore, some monk clearly violated the character of his monastery. In addition, in the treasure was found a gold ring decorated with a precious stone and a golden leaf. Tobacco in ancient Egypt. Some time ago, Russian experts, at the request of Egyptologists, carried out an examination of the remains of ancient mummies, and the find, which was discovered as a result of chemical analysis, turned out to be so strange that at first they simply did not believe in it. It turned out that in ancient Egypt, there was a practice of using tobacco, which, as it was previously believed, at that time was exclusively on the American continent. Scientists were so discouraged by the sudden find that they decided to double-check it. However, subsequent tests showed the presence of nicotine in the remains. How tobacco, which appeared in Europe only after the expeditions of Columbus, ended up in ancient Egypt, researchers cannot understand. At the moment, 2 versions have been put forward that explain this amazing find. The first says that tobacco used to grow in Africa, but then disappeared as a result of evolution or excessive human use. A similar trend was observed in ancient Rome. And the second is more surprising. Perhaps the ancient Phoenicians who made long voyages could reach America and take tobacco there. Moreover, in the state of Arizona, artifacts made in the Egyptian style have been found, although their connection with the real Egyptians has not yet been established. Ruins of ancient Egypt. From the photographs of the 18th, 19th centuries, I always got the impression that something large-scale and destructive happened in Egypt and possibly all over the world. In order, I will explain using the example of Egypt why such an opinion. I'll start with the abandonment of objects in all its manifestations. If we touch on the period, for example, the 16th, 17th centuries and earlier, everything was in order with Egypt, and as far as I remember, historians of that time wrote about amazing pyramids, etc. But after that, already in the 19th century, everything was found for the first time. Almost all the temples like Abba's Temple and many others were partially destroyed and almost completely covered with sand. As for the Sphinx and the pyramids, they were abandoned and the same Sphinx was more than half covered with sand. In addition, there are enough pictures from somewhere in the 18th century where not only ancient structures but also some cities in Egypt were in ruins for unknown reasons. To summarize, everything turns out as if in Egypt until the 19th century, people did not exist at all, since everything was abandoned, destroyed, flooded, buried under the sand. In addition, in Egypt there are quite a few places with traces of the effect of high temperature and accordingly subsequent melting or slight charring. Personally, my opinion is that history is silent about some significant period of time somewhere in the 17th, 18th centuries. But again, this is an opinion and everyone has their own conclusions. Loladoff's plate. This unusual artifact was found in Nepal and named the Loladoff plate. It is a disc or dish made of stone, the age of which scientists have determined at about 12,000 years, and it was created by representatives of the Trovanta tribe. However, this was the end of the unequivocal discoveries of this find. After all, even the purpose of this object is not known for certain. However, most of the questions are caused by the images on the disc. In addition to strange spirals and two unidentified animals, the artifact contains a drawing of a creature that many define as an alien. In a sense, this phenomena can be explained by the fact that the representatives of the Trovanta tribe considered themselves descendants of creatures of extraterrestrial origin. In any case, all the versions that are currently being put forward by researchers regarding this artifact can only be hypothesized, because scientists have not yet been able to accurately determine the origin of the strange image on the Loladoff plate. But the viewers of my channel were lucky, and they can be the first to learn about the newest, shocking, and inexplicable finds of the past. Subscribe to the channel if you have not done so yet. Share this video with your friends. Thanks for your views. Bye everyone!